Learn to listen. Um, I want to make this video about pretty much that. Learn to pretty much that. Um, I remember a time when, and I spoke about this in a previous video. I think it was my story about when I used to be outside or in a mall, and I would see people walking by, just having a direction to go focused, or a lady examining a dress, or a dude looking at some pants or a suit or whatever. And I used to sit there and dream about having a quiet mind like that person. See, at the time, my mind was just filled with chatter, and I could never interact with the world in front of me in where I can actually focus on anything. So uh, it was it was I sat there and I just kind of envied people for something that I presumed they had, right? Because I thought just I was the only one experiencing this thing, at least when it comes to the people I was looking at out there. So I uh, I later on learned how foolish that was, and but that's a kind of attitude that some of us carry when we have a lot of burdens on us, right? And especially people who suffer from chronic illnesses, whether it's physical or mental. We live in a world where there is just constant suffering. When it's when we wake up, it's suffering. We go through the day, it's suffering. We go to bed, it's suffering, and so it it fills our mind, and our from our mind it comes through our mouths and our words. And so a lot of times all we want to do is talk about that. All we want to do is uh, just give that to other people. Just what, hear what I'm going through. Hear my suffering. Look how hard I have it. And rarely do we take the time to put ourselves in that person's other person's seat, and let them take our seat, and they tell us about what they're going through. How because the people whom I was looking at, I didn't know if they were suffering from the same thing or worse than I was, but I presumed it. It's because they didn't have suffering written all over their face, then perhaps I did. Because sometimes I know people can wear suffering really well. They can, people can be going through some hard things in a home, and just because it's a home doesn't mean it leaves once you leave the house, or it stays there. It goes with you. And so going out into the world and still have to interact, and people can still carry on a face where like you would never guess what's going on there. They cry when they're alone, so it can be that rough. And sometimes that's how we have to really consider uh, the people who we may think have it not as bad as we do, because we don't know exactly what they're going through. We don't always, privy to that, because we're always telling them about how much we're suffering. And sometimes we may even minimize what they're going through because we don't think it's as heavy as what we have. So we don't think we got time to hear that, or that they shouldn't be complaining because they have it, they have it good in comparison to us. But to that person, it's important, and it should be important to us. I think is if we have any kind of relationship, uh, as friends or family, then it's necessary that we also take on the burdens of other people. Because when we're talking to people and we are uh, uh, telling them about how hard things are, what's going on with us, that is in effect putting a burden on them, right? But they carry it, and we should also help carry theirs as well. We got to help each other. That's how we got to sustain each other through life, because life, it's a journey, and none of us can do it by ourselves. We need each other, but we can't wear down the other person. we have to think about their mental health as well, and they have pressures built up inside just as we do, and just as we feel like talking about it is therapeutic, and it can be, uh, they also need that release as well, right? So if there's value in speaking, in putting down our burdens, and in kind of just sharing it with somebody else, then there's also value in me taking somebody else's burden a little bit, taking some of it, or by listening, the very least, I can listen, and if I have anything to add or advice, then I can also give that, and it can help them. Maybe I just listen. I don't know what to say, but I can at least listen and be empathetic in what they're going through, or try to be. If I can understand it. Um, but it's very, very important for us to do that, because sometimes, one of the things that helps us to move forward out of this dark place of suffering, and it is a very dark place. It's a miserable existence, right? It can be if we stay in there. But one of the things that helps us to move forward is, when we talk about it, it allows us to release some of that. It can actually, if we want it to, and we can travel a little bit lighter once we put it down. Sometimes we put it down, the next day we pick it back up again, and we just can continue to carry it, rather than once we are able to express it and to put it down, we can leave it and just continue moving forward. But if there's value in doing that, then there's also value in listening, right? Because by listening, I am taking the focus off my suffering. I'm pretty much taking power away from the suffering that's going on within me, and by showing concern for somebody else, right? So it's no longer consuming my life. It's no longer all consuming my mind, my heart, everything within me and my life. So I'm no longer just empowering it to the greater degree. And so by listening, I'm just taking that power away and transforming the negative into something positive, right? Because it's a positive act when we sincerely listen to somebody and kind of try to help them in their situations. It's a great thing, and it helps us as well, just to move uh, forward, and to realize that we don't always have to be the one that's suffering, and that's putting things out there. It's not just about us, it's about other people. We share, we give, we take, and we walk together in life, and it's just a beautiful thing if we can accomplish that. And there's communities, you call it a schizophrenic community if you want to call it that, but to me, if we want to find any kind of relief, then it's a great place to start. Listening to each other, uh, bearing one another's burdens, is a great place to start, in order to get out of our dark place and step into the light a bit, and kind of move with a little less weight on our shoulders, on our minds, on our hearts, and move forward in that direction. Just a lot better, a lot healthier, and feeling united, feeling that not one person is overwhelming the other person, which sometimes people feel overwhelmed, then they want to withdraw from whatever it is that's overwhelming them, and then so then we don't end up being alone, because all we do is just want to always want to talk about how much how bad we have it, and kind of minimize anybody else's problems by not wanting to listen. So anyway, that's what I want to talk about. And before I go, I just want to mention my friend Duncan. It's a guy I met online, and he has a podcast called Interview with a Schizophrenic. Uh, he had me asked me if I could do a interview with him, and I did so. Um, it's half an hour or so, and he has a bunch of different interviews from people all over the world. And I thought it was incredible that it was what he was doing. I told him that, and it's just it was great as I listened to some of these other stories from people. Man, it just made me just amazed how uh, just people just struggling and getting moving forward. Trying to fight to kind of it just shows me that it doesn't matter where you live, doesn't matter your culture, man, doesn't matter your religion, your ethnicity. Human is human, man. Human nature is human nature, and suffering is suffering, and suffering doesn't care about any big eyes and little U's, or what you look like, what your skin color is, what your religion is, what your background. It doesn't care about any of that. It is no respect of person. It doesn't care. It'll destroy you. It will tear you up just the same as the other guy who looks different than you. That's we have that in common. We all suffer. We all doesn't matter where it is, and just to hear these stories that are similar to my story as well, and just all the way doesn't matter where it is. People are still suffering in a similar fashion, and that's I don't say great to see, but it's just interesting to hear those different stories coming from people in different places, and to see that the humanity of it is that we all experience this, and we can all strengthen each other and help build each other up, and find ways to overcome and to move forward, man. So great for Duncan interview with the Schizophrenics on Spotify. He was on YouTube. I think I don't remember seeing his videos on YouTube anymore, but check it out on YouTube anyways, and his Facebook or whatever. I'm trying to put some in the put information in the description box, and check him out, man. So yeah, later.